What is up, everybody? Solomon here. I hope you guys are all having an okay day. Obviously, the market has taken a shit across the board once again. I wanted to do something a little bit differently today. I do not claim to be some sort of a TA guru whatsoever. I like looking at fundamental analysis and deep dives and research more than almost anything, but at some point, like I use TA in certain ways that make sense to me. I've been talking about this bearish action that is yet to have come, and it's starting to come to fruition now for the past handful of months right now. So I wanted to showcase some of the things that I'm looking at right now for targets. And I would recommend that you look at multiple different individuals that are talking about where their targets are at. Not just looking at Bitcoin, but looking at the total market cap of crypto, looking at the total market cap of crypto, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we can see everything is bleeding right now. Bitcoin currently sitting at $23,323. Do I think that this is the bottom? No. Could I be wrong? Yes. The one thing that I will say is, and it really pisses me off, you see a lot of like social media, quote unquote, influencers, like Twitter influencers, YouTube influencers, and things like that, just saying there's no way that this can go any lower, without any factual evidence that they have to back themselves for that statement, which is the most asinine thing that you could ever do, especially in a place of, I don't want to say power. Power is a shitty word, but influence over the market, or influence over communities that trust you, that you're going to do your due diligence and research and all this other shit. So I will tell you what I'm looking at very, very simply. I'm not going to pull up confusing things. I'm just going to give actual targets that I'm looking at as far as price, and then go from there. I mean, everything's bleeding right now. Obviously, Bitcoin down 14.92% over the past 24 hours. Most assets down a little bit harder than Bitcoin. Some are not, but everybody pays the piper at some point in time. If Bitcoin continues to capitulate, which I believe that it will, and I could be wrong, obviously, other assets are going to dump harder. First piece of advice would be stop chasing altcoins in a bear market. You can look at the biggest gainers right now. I haven't fucking heard of any of these. I don't know what Garacoin is. I don't care to know what Garacoin is. I don't know what Sia Cash or Sia Cash Coin is. I don't care to know what Sia Cash Coin is. I don't know what Asyagro Asyagro is, and I don't care to know what Asyagro is right now. That's not to say that some of these biggest gainers might be very valid projects, but if I don't believe personally, based on indicators that I'm watching, that we've seen the end of capitulation yet, why do I care about short-term minuscule gains of 100 or 200%? I don't personally. I'm looking for buying opportunities that I can hold over the accumulation period, which we do not have yet. We are still not in the complete capitulation period yet, I don't believe. That's the first piece that I would give you guys as advice. It's not financial advice. It's more so just common sense. This is not the time to be chasing shitcoins. That time ended probably prior to June, or whenever the second top was, and then certainly prior to May of last year. So, or sorry, November of 2021 and May of 2021 for shitcoins. But yeah, what I'm looking at right now as far as price action is concerned, I'm looking at certain levels. And one of the levels that I'm looking at right now, and this is a weekly chart, obviously, and you can see these are all weekly candles. This is this week's candle, okay? This is this huge dump that we just saw. This candle will not close until Sunday. If this candle closes below 26,000, let's just say $26,200, this level right here, maybe I'll highlight this. This level on the weekly time frame now becomes resistance, okay? Now, if we look back, we don't have any other weekly candles that have consolidation around 26.2, anything like that. So I'm looking for levels of confirmation bias from a charting standpoint. And again, I'm not a TA guy, but just common sense would be like, where are the levels of support and resistance? Well, I can choose right around this level right here, which is 19,572. I would expect over time, and maybe we do rise back above this this resistance line here, but I would expect over time, if we close a full weekly body candle below this, maybe we see a little bit of a rise. Maybe we even go back above here. But just for levels of where we could capitulate down further to, 19.5 would be potentially my bet for the next one. Now, interestingly enough, with Bitcoin, I've pulled up this 210 before for you guys. The bodies of the weekly candles have historically closed above the 210 SMA on the weekly, which is holding a support, but we have seen wicks below. I think that I even did the same thing on the BLX. This is the Bitstamp chart. BLX goes back a little bit further. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of a body close on a weekly candle above this 210 SMA, but the wick touching down to this support level, which would be like that 19.5, 19.7 range. I'm also looking at lower levels because everybody's talking about previous all-time high, right? For me, lower levels would start to get interesting. Let's say about 12,000 down to it's higher than that. Yeah, I would say anywhere between 10.3 and 12,000. That's arguable as well, because you can actually kind of, what you're really trying to look for here, and I'm populating these horizontal lines just on the fly for you guys, but what you want to see is Confluence. So the most amount of support that we've seen. So I've got a candle body holding this as resistance. I've got a candle body or a wick holding this as resistance. And then I've got one break above it. So it might even be a little bit lower than that. Let's go down to the next level here on the weekly and start tackling this. Yeah, that $11,900 has a ton of Confluence to it. I've got one resistance weekly candle, 2, 3, 4, wicked above, but held as resistance, 5, wicked above, but held as resistance, 6, wicked above, resistance. So this is months of resistance, right? And not a shit ton of support. So, kind of that, like, I guess I would say like that like 11 to 13K, 11 to 14K range is really interesting to me if we break down below 19.5. And finding Confluence even on higher time frames too for Bitcoin is very interesting to me. So the higher the time frame, the more power that it holds, right? So if I were to just do something right off the bat within this, I would probably pull that level right there. I've got a wick as resistance, a wick as resistance, never truly broke above. Looks like a tiny bit, getting close to testing, resistance, and then bam, we broke through that level. So 11.7 is certainly one. The higher the time frame, obviously, you can pull more Confluence from it and try to figure out where these levels may occur. I mean, even with the monthly when I populated it, this 19.5, right? That was previous all-time high, essentially, with the Bitstamp chart. We have a resistance candle here and a support candle here. I certainly think that if on the month, well, there's no 100% if June closes, as below this, I would actually say if June closes below this 28.6, that's probably the monthly resistance, or 29K. It'd be very hard to get back above that with just one test. So higher time frames have more power, obviously. It's interesting not only looking at Bitcoin, but looking at where Confluence might occur for the total crypto market cap. Right now, we're pretty much in a free-for-all, right? This last monthly candle, and these are monthly candles, closed its body right about $975 billion. Right now, we're at $953 billion, so we're below that. So unless we close above $975 billion on the monthly candle for the total cryptocurrency market cap, and if you're on CoinMarketCap, you can just look at it right here. Here it is. That's going to become resistance. The next obvious level for me would be previous all-time high, which would be right around $770 billion for the total market cap of crypto. You could even probably pull a candle or pull a horizontal line right here if you really wanted to for another level, $528 billion, and then that capitulation level with multiple months of Confluence. And when I say multiple months, I'm talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, either as support or resistance at $396 billion. It's not going to go right to there, obviously, but it might be somewhere in the ballpark. That's for the total crypto market cap. Also looking at total crypto market cap, excluding things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So this is everything with exception of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I touched on this a little bit in a video or two ago. And it's so amazing to me that an asset class that is going to, in my opinion, over time swallow most other asset classes, we still right now only have a $355 billion market cap for everything except for Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's so freaking crazy low. In my opinion, it's a drop in the pan over time. Right now, a level of Confluence that I would certainly be looking at is right where we're at literally right now. Previous all-time high with everything except for Bitcoin and Ethereum, sitting right at that 356, 355 billion range. We held it as resistance. We held it as support. Right now, we're holding it as support. You can see a tiny wick below it. I would suspect if Bitcoin capitulates lower, which I do think that it probably will, or at least a little bit lower, in the short term, I do think that Bitcoin is probably going to end up going to this 19.5 range. I could certainly be wrong, obviously. And maybe it holds there. Maybe we do, like I showed you guys before, maybe we hold support on the 210 on the weekly, and we just wick down to this 19.5 range. But if we break below this 19.5 range, there's nothing stopping us going to that 14, 13, 12K range. And it's kind of, at that point in time, and that's why I didn't spend a whole shit ton of time, figuring out exactly where the horizontal trend line or like that level of support would be. If Bitcoin is $12,000 or $14,000, everything's undervalued to the point where it's like a fire sale, and I really don't care at that point, so I'm just going to be accumulating. These are kind of levels that I would be starting to look at. Where am I going to start setting limit orders for certain digital assets that I want to hold for more than a year? Where am I going to set stop losses? If Bitcoin's at 23K and it goes down to, if Bitcoin's at 24K and it goes down to 12K, that's a 50% drop. I can probably assume that a lot of assets are going to go lower than 50% because Bitcoin drives the market. If Bitcoin goes down 50%, most things are going to go down probably harder. Where do I want to set my limit order to potentially pick something up really, really cheaply and be able to hold it? Maybe it's at like 55 or 60% down from where it is right now, just to be safe. And then setting a stop loss as well as a limit order just in case I want to offload in case Bitcoin decides to go lower than anybody anticipates. So, and then looking, like I said, at this total market cap, excluding Ethereum and Bitcoin, I don't think that this holds this $355 billion level. And I could be certainly wrong. Maybe we do see a bounce. I would love to see a bounce just like everybody else would. But the next level for me that I would be looking at for the total market cap of all cryptos, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, would be right around this $235 billion level, which most of us can remember. I think that was all altcoins. Or no, that was the total market cap of crypto, like in the bear market last time. Yeah, 235 billion I would be looking at. And then really the most Confluence for me is kind of this 159 billion. These would be like dream levels for me. And obviously it could go a little lower. But like I said, these are monthly candles. We've got basically being holding as support right here, wicked up above it. Holding as resistance because not a full candle body close, but holding as resistance, resistance, and then support. So looking to see some confluence and confirmation of this being support if we do capitulate down to that level. And that's obviously more than 50% of a drop from where we're at right now, which means that, a lot of assets are going to get murdered. But yeah, and this is the total market cap of crypto, just excluding Bitcoin. You can do the same thing here, looking for Confluence. Right now, we're sitting right at support again. Do I expect this to hold if Bitcoin continues to capitulate, especially if given historically Bitcoin tends to pick up market dominance during bear markets? If it does that and Bitcoin continues capitulating, I would expect the rest of the market to do so as well. The next area of Confluence that I would really be looking at, and you could probably draw a horizontal line here, I'd be looking kind of at this 337 billion range, and then really more so that 225 again, which I talked about earlier. But these are things that are really easy to pull up. TradingView has free charts. You can just type in literally total market cap. Total market cap of crypto, total, like all of crypto, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's just the altcoins, except for Bitcoin, except for Ethereum. And then kind of, running through your paces. Like if you want to change time frames, if you're not used to trading, if you're not used to like TA, like it's very easy to populate this chart. If I populate that chart and I just leave it naked, all I have to do is go to the monthly time frame, and over here is where you would draw the horizontal trend line for support and resistance, and then look for areas of confluence. I mean, every candle here is a monthly candle. This is 1 month, 1 month, one month. When you get into weekly charts, obviously these are all weeks. Months are obviously stronger than weeks. Weeks are obviously stronger than days. Days are obviously stronger than hours. Years are stronger than months. And then just kind of going through different aspects, finding levels that you're comfortable with, and just trying to remain a little bit patient. The individuals that are calling for, there's no way for crypto to go any lower without any facts are going to be the same fucking individuals that are telling you that crypto is going way lower after we've already capitulated at the bottom. So just be cognizant of what's going on in this space. Nobody's going to be 100% right, even myself. So I would recommend looking at everybody else's work and seeing what they're doing. I'm just looking at things that are easy to understand for myself, looking for areas of confluence that actually do have support that were previously resistance, or that have resistance that were previously support on higher time frames, and trying to get a better picture of potentially where this market might bottom out, how I want to go about setting limit orders for multitudes of different digital assets and holding for more longer term time frames as we go into that accumulation period. I will say I think we're extremely close to a bottom. I believe that it's 100% going to occur this year. You start thinking about content creators as well that are looking at macroeconomical issues like Darren, Fame21 More, talking about the Fed and the tightening that is potentially coming, obviously, and what that does to high-risk assets. There's a lot of different macro indicators going on right now as well. And just finding what works for you really is kind of the key to this whole thing. The one thing I will say is this is a buyer's market even right now. It doesn't matter if we're going to capitulate lower or not. If you're FOMOing and selling shit that you've been holding, number one, you're going to incur a tax hit. And this isn't financial advice. Do whatever you want. I'm just telling from my own standpoint, like I am not selling things right now. I'm looking for when the best opportunity for me to buy would be. And you can look at Cardano in the last bear market. You could have bought Cardano under 2 cents and it rose above multiple dollars. So not a seller's market, in my opinion. That's what the herd is doing. I would stay away from what the herd is doing and just make a longer term plan for yourself. Weigh out different people that are talking about these things. Weigh out things that make sense for yourself. Try to just do a little bit every day to learn a little bit more about what's going on in this space, not just from a fundamental standpoint, but from a TA standpoint, things that work for you. I will say that when I've used TA and fundamental analysis in tandem, it's always worked out better than just using fundamental analysis or just using TA or whatever it may be, using tool sets that exist. And then the biggest mistake anybody will make in this space is saying, fuck it, this market is dead and I'm leaving, because that's what happens during capitulation moments. That's what happens during bottoms. And then everybody's going to say, a lot of people will say I walked away because crypto crashed and it was dead or whatever. And that's the exact time you shouldn't be walking away. You should be paying attention. You should be doing your due diligence, researching, because these assets are fucking going to be dirt cheap here very, 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 very soon. And having the fortitude to sit through the bullshit and do the work pays off in dividends that don't currently and probably won't exist for too much longer from an investment standpoint anywhere in the world. They're going to start regulating this market very soon, and these opportunities are going to go away very soon, in my opinion, for the ease of integration, the ease of participation. We'll see how they regulate, though. I hope this video was a little bit valuable for you guys. It was a little bit of a different animal, not going or digging into the weeds. I recommend, setting up a free trading view account and just looking at higher time frames, like weekly is even a little bit small. I would recommend weekly, but weekly, I wouldn't go any shorter than that unless you start getting really accustomed to it. And then monthly, you can even do 2 months, 6 months, all these different things, and finding Confluence. Saying that the market can't go any lower when there's nothing stopping it from going lower is the fucking stupidest thing that I've ever heard in my life. You need areas of confluence within all of these assets. That's where they generally find support. That's where they generally start accumulating, or the accumulation period after capitulation. So just be cognizant out there. Stay safe. Remain patient. Do your own research out there, just like anything else. Don't take my advice. Look at multiple different individuals and find your own indicators and your own path forward that works for you. And look for those conduits out there that are going to try to help you to get to where you want to go. So I appreciate all you guys. Nothing goes straight up, nothing goes straight down. I know this market is rough right now, but I'm going to stick it out with you guys just like I have been doing for the past X amount of time. It's not always popular being bearish. I'm obviously a hyper bull when it comes to medium and long term with crypto, but I don't know. I'm just going to try to provide the content that I'm trying to provide, and the indicators and the facts that I'm finding to back that content in ways that hopefully provides a little bit of value to at least one of you out there. And I love all you guys. We'll all get through this shit. It's just a little bit hairy right now, and I think it's for me. I'm more so excited about the opportunities that are going to be coming in the very near future. So I'll talk to you guys. Okay, I'll talk to you when I talk to you. Bye.